started. We are recording today's session. So we want to make sure that, if something happens, we totally understand. If you need to leave and come back or whatever, just know that we are recording today's session. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the PBIS Rewards How to Use Check-In-Checkout training. And we're so excited because this is actually a first for us, okay? We usually train regarding check-in, check-out with other features that are in the system, but we really wanted to take some time today to just talk about check-in, check-out. So we're so glad that you're here with us for this first training, okay? And we still have people coming in, y'all. We got people from Louisiana, California, everywhere. And we want you to know that everyone is welcome today. So you've kind of introduced yourself in the chat by telling us, your role at your school or organization, also telling us where you're from. So it wouldn't be fair if Andy and I didn't do the same. So once again, hello, everyone. My name is India Williams, and I'm one of the professional development educators here at PBIS Rewards. And I've been in education for 25 plus years. I'm from Evansville, Indiana. That's also where our company is located. And I have to say, even though I've been involved in education for a long time, my chapter here at PBIS Rewards is my most rewarding, my most exciting, especially because I get to work with amazing people such as you, and I get to work with one of the most awesome people on the planet, Andy Grease.
Thank you, India. So my name is Andy Grease. I'm the product manager here at Motivated Systems or PBS Rewards. And so what I do is I get to kind of say what's going to go next in the product, to kind of listen to the customers. That's why I like to be in on some of these trainings. I get to hear from you and kind of interact with you. And so I get to decide kind of where it goes, what's happening next, get the team around it to make sure that it happens. I'm a former teacher as well. I taught PE and health for 9 years here in Evansville as well. So I know what it's like to be in sort of a classroom. I was more in the gym, but that's the way it goes. So we're excited to be here with you, and I'm glad to get a chance to hang out with you all today.
All right, and I am so glad to get a chance to hang out with Andy. As he said, he is our product manager, so he's busy on the scene as far as development is concerned, and I just get so excited when I'm able to train with him. And just for you all that may have been to some of our other trainings, we have another person on our team here. She's kind of in the background today. Shout out to Kara Yates. So those of you that know Kara, she is in the Zoom room as well today, helping us in any way possible. So I know some of you, that's one of your favorite people. So Kara is here with us today, helping with chat. So let's go ahead and kind of start talking about the expectations for the training. Being the PBIS experts you all are, you know how important it is to truly talk about the expectations for the training before the training takes place. So we're going to keep it very simple today. We're going to keep it respectful, responsible, and safe. There's several ways that you can do that. Just keep your microphone muted when you're not sharing. We thank everyone for being here on time. And if you have to leave, that's okay. We are recording today's session. We want to just encourage you to stay open to new ideas, to share some of your own, and to also stay engaged in any way possible. If you're a note taker, take notes. If you're like me, Andy knows I love to put up those nonverbal reactions. So I'm always putting up hearts, thumbs up, and hand claps. If you're like me, feel free to stay engaged that way as well. And we also, probably more than anything, just want to encourage you to ask questions and not to wait till the end to do that. So put them in the chat, or we actually have a nice number today. So if you just want to, raise your hand or unmute, feel free to do that and just talk. And like we said, Kara is here to really help with the chat. So the chat is the best place for you to put any questions that you might have as we're going through today's training. Don't wait to the end, right, Andy?
Exactly. Feel free to
let
right. us know in the chat.
Let us know in the chat. And we also want to give you an overview of today's training. We're going to be together about an hour, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but about an hour today. And as you probably already know, you can count this hour towards professional development time. We're going to send you a certificate. We're going to send you any resources that we have that we share in the chat today. We're going to send you all of that in a follow-up email if you registered for today's training. You're also going to get a link to the recording of today's session. So if you need to leave, like we said, we totally understand. And so just know that email will be coming to you very soon after the training. But as far as what we're going to go over today, it's all about check in, check out, y'all. So as we usually do, we start off with this welcome and then we go right into the content. So today we're going to be talking about what exactly is check in, check out, who does it really work well for, and what are the benefits of using the check in, check out intervention. And then Andy's going to come on in and he's going to take us live into the PBIS Rewards system today to show you how to use check in, check out, the feature that we have within the system so that you can start managing your check in, check out intervention digitally. And you'll know exactly how to do that, whether you're administration, whether you're going to be a check in, check out coach, or a teacher that's going to help in the process. And he's also going to show us some of the tiered documentation that you can actually do within the system as well, and share with you some reports and data that's being collected every time you're using PBIS Rewards for the check-in, check-out process. And we're going to wrap it up by helping you look at the future after today's training. What are some next steps that you could do? We also are going to make sure that you are equipped with support so you can support yourself after this training if you need any help. And then we're also going to give you a private invitation to our Facebook user group if you're not already a member, and follow up with a survey where you can tell us, what can we do better next time? Or what did you really enjoy about this particular session? So if there are any questions about the agenda, please go ahead and put it in the chat, or you can just unmute and let us know. All right, Andy, I don't think there's any questions, so we're going to get right to it.
Rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll. So once again, being the PBIS experts that you are, you know that there are tiers regarding the MTS system, or, you can know that most students fit right into that tier 1. They are able to, utilize those preventions, utilize any interventions on that level. That's great for about 80% of our students. But there are some students where they need more. They need more than what we give school-wide for all of the students. And so we're going to talk a little bit about an intervention that you can use for those particular students. We have a question here about being able to put it in captions. I am not sure if we're able to do that right now. I will say though, if you are utilizing the Chrome for your browser, you should be able to go into your accessibilities for the settings for Chrome, and you should be able to turn on closed captioning through Chrome. But I will say we are not right now having the capability to do that ourselves through Zoom. So that would be my suggestion is if you're using Chrome, go to the settings and definitely accessibility, turn on the closed captioning. Andy, any other advice for someone that would like us to have this in closed captioning?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they do post the recording either. I feel like there might be options there.
Okay.
But definitely your Chrome browser should be able to allow you to do
yes. That. Alexandra, we apologize that that's something we cannot do direct right now, but definitely for anyone that does want that closed captioning, definitely go to the accessibility settings of the browser you're using, and you should be able to turn that on, especially if you're using Chrome. Andy and I will talk with a specialist on our team who may be able to help us do that post the recording. So when we give you that recording link, it can have the closed captioning. We apologize for not being able to do that directly for you through Zoom. All right, so let's go ahead now and talk about check in, check out. So we want to hear from you all. So somebody unmute, put it in the chat. Please let us know, what is check in, check out? So if you've used it before, if you're familiar with it, someone just go ahead and unmute or just put in the chat, what is check in, check out?
Yeah, your best guess. Or you could put a funny answer in there if you want. I mean, I don't know. We're having fun here, right?
All right, yes. Thank you, Devon. Devon says it's a tier 2 intervention. Absolutely. All right, anybody else? Okay.
And I will say it is, and a lot of people do use it as a tier 2 intervention, but some schools that have kids with a lot of issues, I've seen schools use it as tier 1. Everybody starts off on this, and because they have a trouble and they have a lot of issues, and so for some schools, that's their what 80% of their school is effective for. So I've seen it happen that way. Some it's even pushed to tier 3. They have some other option for tier 2, and they're using that as a tier 3. So again, it defined tier 2 is what, 15 to 20%, or 15 to 10%, I think is needed for additional support. So yeah, but it is commonly known as a tier 1, tier 2.
And I love what Nicole put into the chat. She said it's a way for kids and teachers together to monitor behavior progress throughout the day. What a wonderful definition. Can we have permission to use that moving forward? Great definition. And Diana says a way to record scheduled meetings with students to monitor certain goals. Those are great, absolutely. And so just kind of for like a working definition, check-in, check-out is evidence-based. It is traditionally used for tier 2 and even sometimes tier 3 behaviors. It's an intervention, as you all said, for students, and it combines adult attention, frequent feedback, self-monitoring, and then also reinforcement, okay? But Andy, that's kind of, the definition.
Nuts and bolts, yeah.
Walk them through kind of, step by step. What does it look like? What can check-in, check-out look like as far as, I think that was Nicole that was saying that it's a daily thing. It's progress throughout the day.
So yeah, it's really to give you the day-to-day operations of what a check-in, check-out would look like. This would be, again, a student that tier 1's not really working for them. So the point system is not reaching. They're still struggling. And so you find you need a couple things for this. You need a coach for that student. And so you look for a coach for that student. And again, it doesn't have to be the counselor. It doesn't have to be their homeroom teacher. You want to find somebody that they connect with, that they really connect with. We've seen some schools, their janitor was a person that this kid connected with. And so they made the janitor, the custodian, that kid's check-in coach, because that's who that kid really responded to. So, and they don't have to have necessarily super formal training to be able to do it. And so what they would do, they would check in with that coach at the beginning of the day and say, kind of set their goals, specific goals for that student and what they need to work on, and to be specific. Okay, Johnny really wants you to make sure that you have your classroom assignments at every class, that you bring all your materials, and that you're paying attention in class. Those are their 2 things or whatever. And they would check in with them and say, okay, what's your goal today? Let's try to get this number of points from your teachers today. And let's see if we can work on that today, because you had this yesterday. We think you could do that again today, or maybe be a little bit even better today. They check in with him, send them off on their day. And so now Johnny's going off on his day. And then that student goes with every teacher. They check in with every teacher, and the teacher says, how are you doing on this goal? You did okay, Johnny. You did forget your pencil, but everything else was there. So we'll give you a 2 for today. And instead of a 1 or a 3, we'll give you a 2. And you did pretty good. They go to the next class, and the next teacher checks in with them and says, you did good or bad, and maybe they have a comment with it. And that kid goes all through their classes, each class maybe checking in. And then they come back at the end of the day with a coach, and the coach says, hey, let's see how you did today, Johnny. Let's look at your paper, and let's look at what the teacher said. Look, you did great here. You had struggled through, after lunch, you had a little trouble, and you gained it back. Way to get back to it. Looks like you almost reached your goal. Good job. Let's really try to get that goal tomorrow, and really work on it. I'm proud of you. Here's a high five, and then checks them out for that day. And then that's their daily check-in and check-out. And so, traditionally that's been done with a piece of paper that went around with that kid all throughout the day. And that's kind of was an issue. And so we try to change that. And so we don't want it to be a scarlet letter. We want to make them better, is kind of my little catchphrase that I just came up with. So, and that kind of is the way it was, a scarlet letter that it went around with this kid, and everybody, hey, you're on that thing with the paper. We digitize that process so that they don't have to carry that around. They can just come up, the teacher can come up, I need to scan your badge, Johnny, or whatever. And that's how they can run the check-in, or they can do it. We're going to show you from the web portal how you can do that as well. So that's kind of the day-to-day. And the idea is we want to get Johnny back to where he was, back to where he's back in with the rest of the group. So this is not like a forever sentence. Johnny's got this check-in, check-out. No, we want to work with him to try to get him back into the regular flow, so that he's not on check-in, check-out anymore. So it's a temporary thing that we're trying to get him back to doing the behaviors that we expect of him. So
Andy,
That's
thank you so much. I mean, I knew that, you're great at telling a great story, but I didn't know that you were a poet. You were a poet and
hey,
I
you
didn't.
got it. There you
I saw
go.
you. I saw you with that. So with that in mind, the next question we have is just, who does check-in, check-out work for? We already talked a little bit about how it really does work for those students that maybe what we're doing on tier 1 is not enough for them, okay? Does anybody want to put in the chat for us as well? When you're identifying a student that this intervention is really going to work well for, what are some things that helps you know that? Either unmute and tell us that or put it in the chat. How do you know which student check-in, check-out is going to be a great intervention for? Anyone? Just
Students who enjoy adult attention. Students who enjoy adult attention.
Absolutely, Nicole. She said those students that really enjoy that adult attention. Joseph said the same thing. They need that individual attention. Absolutely. We had said that it's definitely those students who struggle with the tier 1 goals and behaviors. But like you said, they're those students who respond positively to adult attention. Like they love it, they need it, they want it. This is a perfect intervention for them because they're going to be, as Andy said, interacting with a coach maybe as frequently as daily or even weekly. And they're definitely going to be interacting with their teachers as the teachers kind of rate how they've met their goals and giving them that feedback. Steve saying feedback from the teachers with the common theme of behavioral motivational issues.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I really like how Danny said students who need a connection, positive relationships, additional support. So that's really, it's building those connection pieces. And that's why you want to kind of try to find a coach that they connect with. So I love that example too.
And I love how Ferrari's saying here that it's also about keeping them on task and accountable. Like they're like, I need that coach. Some students don't, some do. Those that do, check and check out is a great intervention for them. And it's also particularly for those students that it is easy to identify exactly what expectations they're struggling with, and we can make that a goal. Maybe it's low engagement in class participation and with their classwork, or maybe it's that student who's struggling with focus and being alert and just with, that self-regulation regarding their emotions. So definitely keep this in mind when you're trying to decide who within your campus, your school or organization would be a great student to benefit from the check-in, check-out intervention. But when you do think about the benefits of check-in, check-out, there are so many, they're numerous. And we'd love for you to bomb the chat with, whether you want to share a benefit that you've seen from check-in, check-out, or maybe if you want to just share in the chat a favorite story. Maybe there's a story or a success that you had with the student that you want to share in the chat. Feel free to do that. But in general, some of the benefits are very clear. There's those increased prompts for those appropriate behaviors. You can help prompt them, especially from the coach perspective. We've all talked about that increased adult feedback, especially for those students that need it and want it. And it's also going to provide daily structure. Some students just need that structure, that schedule to help them meet their goals. And then also it gives you an opportunity to give feedback to the families because we're all in this together. The student, the staff at the school, as well as the student's family. We're doing this all together. And whether you're using that traditional piece of paper that's tracking all that feedback, the great thing is that's a way that you can keep the parents or the family or caregivers in the loop. And I love how Nicole's saying here, improved behavior, building strong relationships with adults. Anything else, Andy, that you've seen that just really is a benefit of using check-in?
Yeah, I mean, those are all great things. The structure was another one that, some kids just really need that those pillars in place to help them. Even with a family, some kids knowing that mom or dad is going to see what happened at the end of the day is what they need to keep themselves together throughout the day. If they know every day, this week they're going to get a report on how that went, that's enough for them to kind of get together. So yeah, good stuff, guys.
Well, we've talked about how this is a wonderful intervention, that you're giving that interaction between the student, the coaching that the student needs, the organization, and usually that feedback that's coming from the coach, as well as the teachers throughout the day, is being tracked or recorded on a paper form. Anybody have a story about how the form maybe didn't make it home? Maybe the form flew out the bus window. Maybe the form somehow found its way in the trash can. I don't know how, but we know that sometimes there can be some issues with keeping all that important information, all that feedback on a piece of paper. And so, Andy, have you seen any of that before? And what can people do to still, utilize this great intervention, but in a way where maybe that paper, like I love how, what'd you say it was, Andy? The scarlet letter we want to make?
It's not a scarlet letter, it's to make them better. And that's what we want to do. That's the whole plan here. So Devon said, I had a student rip it up when they got frustrated with the corrective feedback. So yeah, you're giving me zeros. That's what your zeros are. That's absolutely, I've seen that and heard that many times. So yeah, so I think we're going to get ready now.
What can we do?
Yeah.
What can we do? Like, as far as we still want to use this intervention, but is there a way that we can, still do it without having to have that piece of paper that so many things can happen?
Absolutely. We're going digital with it. And that's what PBIS Rewards allows us to do, is to take that whole thing digital. And so everybody can see the progress and see how they're doing throughout the day, and not have to have the piece of paper, ones and zeros. So
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop sharing Andy's
okay.
share, because Andy's gonna take us live into the system. So get ready. He's gonna show you exactly how you can use PBIS Rewards to help you digitally manage check in, check out.
Okay, so let's get this on our screen here.
Yep, and Patty said the digital concept would eliminate the tearing up the paper, right? You are
absolutely
right.
So I think, can y'all see what my screen now? Should say PBIS Rewards? Okay, great. So here we are. This is our home screen for PBIS Rewards, and we're going to get right into kind of how you get it set up and how you get it started in PBIS Rewards, kind of where you go. So first of all, we're looking at an admin view. So Stacy here, she is an admin in our demo school, and so she has extra things on the left side menu, most importantly the settings menu. So she has settings with that, and we're going to click on in settings here and get to that page. And it looks like I'm running a touch slow today, so maybe I can close some things out here and get that going a little bit quicker. So first of all, you want to decide whether you're going to do this or not. This is where you would turn on. You may not even see it on your screen. That's because you may not have it turned on yet. And so the first place you would do is kind of go look on this left side menu. These are all our options and settings and things we can customize, great things in the system. Right down here with this little check on it, says SECO Options, and that is where we're going to turn that on or off. Oh, there we go. We're having a little issues, of course. Only when you're presenting do you have issues. So we're going to click SECO Options, and here's where it is. So if you don't have it turned on, it's probably you need to open up and check this box at the top. That's how you turn it on. Okay, we're going to turn on SECO for our school. Make sure you have that checked, and then there's you're going to decide what kind of points you want for your students. So you can either do 1, 2, or 3 points for every teacher check-in. Every time they go to their class, do they get 1, 2, or 3 points, or they get 0, 1, or 2? We've had different schools decide which way they want it, so this is the way you can decide. The rationale is if for some of the schools was if the kid came up and actually asked I need to be checked in, they got at least 1 point for doing that, for at least going up and being an initiator there. And so then down below here is our list of goals that we can have for the students. Again, you can have as many goals as you need here. If for some reason your school requires everybody in check-in, check-out has to have this respect one, then you could click that, and that would be kind of automatic for every check-in, check-out plan that you have to have. Again, you don't have to have that. You can add as many goals as you need to. This is the place that you would add them so that they'd be ready for the students, and you can see some examples there. And then we have our coaches. This is where you add your coaches. They do need to be in the system for for them to be a coach. So you may have to go and add them if it's somebody that's not in the system currently. You would put them in here, and then you'll also see a star here, and that star is for a check-in, check-out coach. So all these great settings that are over here are for admin, but when you designate one of your coaches, maybe they're going to kind of be in charge of that check-in, check-out process. When you designate them, and you can do that here by checking this little edit button and choosing whoever you want to be coach. Maybe we want Stacy here to be our primary coach. Now she's our primary coach. Let me hit the save button if I can get some things out of the way here. Now Stacy's going to be the primary coach, and she'll have all of these options that you see here on her check-in or her check-in, check-out coach tab. Instead of having to be a full admin and have access to everything, she can still manage all the check-in, check-out stuff without having to have all those admin privileges. So that's what that's about. So this is how you kind of just set it up initially. And we're going to now look at kind of what it looks like on the other side if you're going to set up a plan for a student in the system. So we're going to go back to our home page. And now you see we have a SECO coach tab right over here on this left side. And that is where all that is done. All the regular staff members that aren't coaches, they'll just have the SECO teacher tab. We'll look at that in a minute in terms of how that works. Let's look at how it would be to set up a plan. So this is kind of our check-in, check-out tab. And you can see we have one student in here, and this is currently now showing just my plans, just who Stacy is the coach of. If I want to see everybody in the school and what they're all doing, I can click show all plans. Now I can see all the plans that we have for the demo school. Looks like we have 3 plans, and they're actually in various stages of the process. So one is, looks like that's starting today. Keith's plan is going to start today, and we can start that. We see that we have a indicator that we need to do something on Victoria's plan. Let's look at that real quick and see what's going on with Victoria. As a coach, I might need to check in on that. And it looks like, oh, we missed checking this student out for yesterday. So we got to make sure that they get what happened to them yesterday. Maybe there was an excused absence yesterday. That's why she didn't do her plan. So we're going to say, go ahead. That was her excuse for the day. That's what happened. Hit submit. And now she's ready to check in today. So it's good. If you come in and it's check in, that means the coach, it's time for that coach to check in with that student and get them started for the day. We're going to look at that here in just a second. But let's start a new plan. Let's say we have somebody new that needs a new plan for today. We're going to click this plan, and let's pick a student here to choose. We're going to choose Rachel. Rachel needs to be on a plan today. And so this is how we would start with Rachel. First, when is that going to start? When's the first day? She's going to start today, so we'll leave it that way. And who's going to be her coach? Let's go ahead and make Stacy her coach. That way it'll show up in hers. And this is the list of coaches that we had in that settings page. How many classes per day? How many times? And basically what you want to say here is how many times do you want them to check in? This doesn't have to be actual classes through the day. Can be how many times do you want them to check in with their teacher? For some of the younger kids that have like a homeroom teacher for the whole day, maybe we're just going to say 3 times. They're just going to with that teacher. You can label kind of what those times are or what those classes are when you first check them in. And so then we're going to decide what kind of coach frequency do we want. Is this a daily plan, which means just kind of like I described, every day they're going to check in with their coach at the beginning, go through their day, check in with their coach at the end. That's kind of the traditional check in, check out format. Every day they check in with their coach. There's other options that we have where it's like weekly. So you would check in on Monday with your coach. Every class you still go through and check in with all your teachers every day throughout the week. And at the end of the week, you would check in with your coach to check out and see how the plan's going. You could also do monthly. So those are different options available to you there. And then we're going to add our goals. So this is that list of goals that we just saw from the settings page. I'm going to say she needs to turn in her homework. No, yeah, and listen during instruction. Those are going to be actually just listen during instruction and respect. We're going to work on those 2 for Hannah or Rachel, sorry. And so that's all it takes to kind of get them ready to start on a plan. We're going to click save. Oh, it reminds us this is a scheduled day off of school. Would you like it to continue? Apparently in our in-session calendar, this is a day off school. So we're going to say, yes, we're just going to go ahead because we want to get started. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and change that in the system here because that might mess us up along down the road. This is our demo school. So some of our, some people get in here and like to play around. So we're going to quickly go over here, kind of make that fix. It's also important for us to understand that we have the right dates in here in this in-session calendar. And I'm going to show you what that is as soon as this page, which seems to be slow today, is going to load for us. Because when you have your in-session calendar correctly, it will skip over the days that you said we don't have school that day. And so you won't have to do a plan for that day. Let's see where we are.
Andy, we've got some great questions while
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
We did have some questions. Yeah, we had some questions about, is there the ability to use a template to import these things, or, do you just do them one by one? And there also were some questions just about the how customized can you set the frequency? Like, could you do Monday through Friday 2 times a week?
Basically, on a weekly plan, you're going to just check. You're just going to check the day that you want. So Friday, and then that's the day that you are going to check in and check out. Basically, the plan just runs. So it kind of auto checks you out and auto checks you in each day. So the coaches can go in and look at any time they want to and kind of say and check with the students. It's just going to not require you to do that kind of check out. So we may have some issues actually with today because it looks like this may be the last day of school for here. So we're going to keep going on and see how this works, but we're just going to continue on and see if we can get this to roll. So we've got the plan. Here's Rachel. She's going to start today. And here's what I talked about. This is kind of how you check in that first time. So the first time or every day. So again, it said we had 3 classes. I can adjust that for the day. So if I have, 5 classes on Monday, 2 classes on Tuesday, I could go in each, as I check in each day and adjust that accordingly. I'm going to label these because let's say that we're just going to do these, you could actually type in the subject or that teacher so that they know what to do, but we're going to say she has a morning. I don't think I spelled that right. She's going to check in at lunch, and she's going to check in the afternoon. And these are her 3 times that she's going to check in, and that helps us to know that. You can click confirm. And then this is kind of where the coach goes over, okay, you can get a total of 18 points because we're doing 3 points per 3 points per goal, and there's 3 classes. You can get a total of 18 points. What is your goal? What do you think your goal? And this is where you talk to the student. The coach says, Rachel, what do you think is a good goal for you today? What do you think you can get? And so you talk about it. I think I can get 2, she says. We're like, well, I think you can probably do a little bit better than 2. Let's try and get 10 for today. What do you think you can get 10? And as you work with that student, you'll know what to do and what not to do, but you kind of set a goal for them. Let's see if you can get to 10. And so then that's kind of the process for that day. You talk with them about their goals and you hit submit, and now they're ready to go for their teacher check-ins throughout the day. That's all it takes is that few minutes to say, here, we can do it for Victoria here too. Same thing. Okay, what are her labels? Does she have something? Maybe we're going to check at math and science. Is her two subjects that she's having trouble with. And we set her goal. We're going to set your goal for 4. Let's do this. You can do this. I know you can do this, Victoria. You're going to have a great day today. Give me a high 5. Boom, they're ready. Now they're ready for the day. They're ready to go on with their day. And we're ready for teachers to check them in and check them out. And so we're going to come back now to kind of the teacher view. So now they go to their first class. And so Stacy's ready to check them in. She can click on that tab, that teacher, CICO teacher tab. And now she can see these are the students I have in check-in, check-out that need to be checked in or checked out. I have Lucas and Victoria. I'm going to select Victoria, and here she goes. She's ready to check her out. This is the math class for her. Kind of see how she did. She did okay. She did a few things well. You know, she got, you know, 2 of 3 assignments. You got 2 or 3 assignments turned in. She got a 2. She did some of it. That's good. We're making progress. And then we hit submit. And again, these give you some pointers on terms of how well they're doing. What's a 1? Met few or no expectations. 2, met some expectations, 75% on target. 3, met expectations, mostly on target, minimal delay. So that gives us a teacher the idea of what is a 2, what is a 1, what is a 3. So I'm going to hit submit. And now it's already in the system. And if our coach needs to know how she was doing, she could see right away how Victoria was doing. See, we could see she's already earned 2 points towards her goal. We can clearly see, we can actually click this checkout button and see exactly what happened. We can see the comment that happened right there. It's already visible. They don't have to wait till the end of the day to see it. So, you know, Victoria's 2 check-ins in and she's got 0 and 0. And the comments are like, she's really struggling today. That coach can go right away, maybe, and have an intervention with that student. Say, hey, what's going on, Victoria? Why, you know, I see you've kind of been struggling these 2 classes. How can we get you back on track? I didn't eat breakfast. I'm angry. They give her some food or something, send her back on and see how that goes. Again, they can quickly intervene without having to actually go throughout the whole day to do that. And so that's kind of how that works. We would continue to check them out throughout the day. And then when we're ready to check Victoria out at the end of the day, let's just check her in one more time so we have a full. And again, you can click here and it shows you your students. I can also just type in here if I had a lot. I'd say, Victoria, I know I have to check her out. This lets me know I've just recently checked. You just had a recent check with Victoria. Do you still want to do that? It lets them know in case they accidentally click it twice, like, oh yeah, I did already check in with him. If they forget, oh yeah, I forgot I did check with him. But since we know, we're just doing this as an example, that this is maybe her science class and she got a 3 this time. We're going to hit submit. Now Victoria is ready for her checkout. So she can go to her coach at the end of the day. Victoria, oh, you did great today. Your goal was 4, you got 5, you exceeded your goal. That's awesome. Incredible work. Way to go. I'm so proud of you. They can make a comment here if they need to. And then they're ready to submit and kind of close this out for the end of the day. So they hit submit. And this is where they have an opportunity to send an actual notification. If Victoria's parents have the parent app, PBIS Rewards parent app, they can send a notification to the app saying, hey, Victoria's done for her check-in, check-out. You want to go look at her plan? Or you can just say, no, we don't want her, you know, to get an actual notification. We're just going to send the plan. And it'll actually still show up in their check-in, check-out. They just won't get a notification for it. So we're going to say yes, send the notification so everybody can see how she's doing today. And actually, Victoria herself, here's Victoria, and this is her account on her web portal. She can actually come in throughout the day too. If she forgot how she was doing, she could actually come in and see her plan and see how that went. Here's her Wednesday plan. Actually, it might need to be refreshed here. So we're going to refresh her page because we haven't done anything with her. And she'll be able to see how she's doing throughout the day as well as her, you know, her parents are going to be able to see it. But here's her check-in, check-out plan today. She sees what the teacher said. She got 2 or 3 assignments, how well she did on each one. Now she's informed on how she's doing as well. And she can kind of keep that. So it is available on the web portal for the students, also on an app. If the students had the app, they could also see it from there too. So keeping everybody in the loop and communication. If you wanted to go old school and still kind of print something out that you sent home, we're done with Victoria today, so we can click this print today. And now we get this printout that we can print for Victoria and send home, and she can sign. If we still needed to do it that way, we could do it that way. And some kids, I don't maybe need the piece of paper, or the parents want that. But again, that's up to you and your school and how you want to do it as well. So I'm going to kind of pause there. I think maybe do we have some questions in here? India?
Oh, Andy, the chat has been blowing up with excellent questions. Joseph, most recently, I love that he put this in the chat. He said, just to be clear, check-in, check-out points are separate from the points earned throughout the universal system, correct?
That is a fantastic question. We get a lot. And yes, they are. And kind of the rationale behind that, the reason behind that is, you know, these kids have the opportunity to get points in their classroom, just like everyone else. We didn't want to give them extra points on top of that beyond what they were getting. So if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing through the check-in, check-out plan, they should be getting those points from those teachers, right? They should be getting those points. But we do have some schools that will say, okay, did you reach your goal today? Did you reach your goal today, Victoria? You did? You know what, Victoria, great job. You reached your goal today. You know what, I'm gonna reward you for some extra points for reaching your goal today. And they can just come in right into the system and give her those points for being responsible. Great job. You get extra points today for meeting your goal and check in, check out. And that quickly they can give Victoria extra points on top of her goal. But they are separate. So they're just kind of a way to track. And that's what those points in check in, check out are. Are we making progress? Are we not making progress? And give them a goal. Again, you can on top of that, give them that reward. So some check in, check out coaches, I mean, they're creative. They use, I know some schools, they use the hot chips, man. That is if they reach their goal, that kid gets those hot chips, and that's like gold to them, and they will do whatever they can to get those hot chips. And those hotties,
They love those
definitely heard
Takis.
that. Yeah, they've definitely heard that one be a thing too. So absolutely, great question. They are separate.
Mm-hmm. And most of them already that's been put in the chat, Andy, you've answered already. There were questions. Okay. Does the system send a notification to remind the teacher to, you know, do the check-in, check-out rating, to remind the coach that they have a check-in or check-out to do? And so I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit more, as well as a question about, can the students also see their goals and also see information?
Yeah, so the students, they can see theirs in real time. So they can see them as they go throughout the day. I'm trying to think if the parents can see them as they're going throughout the day. I think theirs are done at the end. Like they get that information at the end.
Yes.
When it's checked out. And then again, the coach can see it at any time as well. So they're able to see how that plan's going. So yeah, this is where they would see it, and they can see all their plans and how they can see how they're doing. Have I been doing well? Have I not been doing well? It's right there for them. And then of course the coach can see it in a couple ways. They can see, so I did show you just by clicking on it, you can see there's also a kind of a daily report that you can see, that you can click on, that kind of gives how your school is doing. So this kind of gives everybody, you know, everybody, so quickly a coach can see everybody that they're doing, how many times they've checked in, you know, the total points, their points earned. This button is over here in case they accidentally closed it out when they weren't supposed to. A coach, oh, I didn't mean to actually check them out. They can reactivate it. And so then it'll be active again in case they missed a checkout or something.
Okay.
Also really quickly, if something happened in the plan, like let's say for Rachel, they needed to go back and make a change or something. Let's go ahead and start her plan. These plans can be edited. So maybe something happened and they didn't get the check-in and they had to go back and get it later. The coach can come in here and mark all of what needed to be done. So if you're like still transitioning from paper and not quite ready to go over fully digital yet, but you want that data recorded, you want to be able to kind of utilize that data, you can get the paper, and then the coach could come in here and fill out everything if they needed to. We have some schools still doing that. They, for some reason, like that paper responsibility for the kid to hold that paper. But again, that's a way that you could still do it by just kind of entering all that information here as the coach.
Well, and the other thing, we did have a question about, so, you know, how do people get this check-in, check-out system? Like, can you get check-in, check-out by itself? You know, if you already have PBIS rewards. And so we did speak to that in the chat. And if you don't have PBIS rewards, basically check-in, check-out is just one of the many wonderful things you can do with PBIS rewards. And it's not an additional fee. It's included with the base price. We had questions about how many students can you put on a check-in, check-out plan? As many as you want. You know, Andy talked earlier about there's some schools that pretty much, because of their students' needs, most of the students would be on a check-in, check-out plan. So there's no limit to how many students you can put on a plan. And this check-in, check-out feature is included with the base price of the system. So you're able to manage giving the students points, which we said is separate from the rating points within the check-in, check-out. You can use check-in, check-out, and there's other wonderful features as well. So if you do have questions about how to get the PBIS reward system, feel free to private message one of us, Andy, myself, or Kara, and we'll make sure to get with you and talk with you about how you can get the PBIS reward system for your school that includes this wonderful check-in, check-out piece. And so we are getting close to the wrap it up time. So Andy, is there anything else that you wanted to? Oh, I know what I want to make sure you show while we're live in the system. We're going to see this when we go back into the PowerPoint, but I did want to ask you to show them if they forget how to do some of the things that you talked about. Could you tell them a little bit about show me how and the help button?
Sure. We have this great little button here down the bottom that says show me how. And so if you want to know and forget, gosh, how do I do anything in the system? I want to know about check-in, check-out. I can just type in CICO and I can see a SECO overview. I can see how to complete, you know, there's all kinds of resources here. These are going to probably send us, these resources are going to send us to our support site, which I'll show you how to get to in a minute. It goes right there. There's other questions like, I forgot, how do you do reward something? I can just type in, you know, reward students in a group or a class. If I click that, it just gives me step-by-step instructions, literally walks me right through how to do whatever I needed to do in the system. So it's super easy and can guide you right on through. The other way that you can get a lot of help is by this, what do you know, help button up in the top right-hand corner. And I can just click this help button and that sends me to our great support site where we have a lot of resources on, you know, you can just use the search up the top. There's also this great menu at the bottom. I need help with, what do you need help with? Any of these things? Oh, this is an intervention, check in, check out, and interventions. Here's all these great articles on check in, check out, how it works, how do you set it up again. They're all right here with videos to kind of guide you through all of it. So just a great resource. Never feel afraid to hit that help button. It's not going to cost you any money. There's no extra charge. It's all part of the system and helping you be better at what you're doing. So again, got screenshots and videos all about things we've just shown you. I do want to really quickly show also kind of a student dashboard that can give you some quick information on some of your students. So let's say, and it does show you some things on your check-in, check-out. So I'm going to just go to the students tab and let's look at Victoria here at this info button, which is just her kind of what we call student dashboard, which kind of shows all the things you need to know for the student, kind of what's going on with their points. Interventions is the check-in, check-out portion. So I'm going to expand that. We're running just a little slow today. It's a little frustrating. And here we go. And so this shows me number of plans. She's been on 2 check-in, check-out plans. Average day of her plan. Her last check-in was today. 60% of her goals were met. So this gives me quick data on this check-in, check-out. Also shows me their SEL, all their history. This is just a great resource and any referrals that have been issued to her. So if you're doing like a parent-teacher conference, this is a great way to show everything that's going on with the student. But also, again, shows you easy, quick check-in, check-out data for that student.
And Andy, we did have Patty double checking. She's asking about, you know, is there a possibility to do a check-in like twice a week as far as the coach? And I did want to reiterate as far as the coach check-in frequency can be set to daily, weekly, or monthly, but teacher check-in is done daily. I wanted you to make sure we're clarified about that.
That's for sure. Teacher check-in is done daily. And really, once you get to the weekly and monthly, they kind of run automatically. It's more along the lines of when's the coach want to check them in? And the coach can look at any time and kind of check in with that student. So you could do a monthly plan and just set up a day. We're going to do it every other week. And then you just actually hitting the button that second time you do it. So it'll work that way. You just maybe set it up monthly and then make sure your coaches are doing that, checking in with them every other week. It's just not going to necessarily automate to exactly that, but you can use it that way. We try to keep it open and as flexible as we can for a multi options in the system.
Okay.
I'm gonna give some feedback that the 2 times a week would be an excellent feature if you talk to people about adapting your program, especially as you've done some daily work maybe with students and you don't want to go to once a week. Maybe you want the beginning of the week and the end of the week would be a great feature if you could make that setting available. That's my feedback.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. I'm the person that gets that feedback from everywhere.
Right.
So you're telling the right person. So I definitely have that in the memory bank. So the other thing is I want you to know that what the coach does and what the teacher does can be done on your mobile app. So the student or the staff mobile app, that's a great thing with the app. You can walk around to the actual students' classrooms and check them in with your phone. You don't have to have your computer. These things I was showing you can be done in the app. Maybe we can hop back real quick. I'll stop sharing here and we'll just kind of look at that super fast.
Excellent. And there's a couple of questions you may want to answer in the chat, Andy, while I get that switched over, okay?
Sure. Can you attach a scanned document in a SECO or within the student info page? There is something that we have called custom interventions. And so in that student dashboard that I showed you, there's a spot where you can include custom interventions, and that's just like any intervention that you would want. And those custom interventions, you kind of describe what you did for the student and you have an opportunity to attach something to that. So that would be the best way to kind of use that. So here on the app, the staff app, we have the same tabs and they can check the student in here. You can see with that first tab, they search for a student. They can give them their coach, their classes, basically all of those features that you saw me do on the web portal, they can do right from the palm of their hand in the app. And the beauty about kind of the teacher checking them in with the app is that they can scan the student's badge to kind of start that process. So they say kind of teacher check-in, and they can press scan and scan the student's badge and do their classroom checkout that you can see on the right there, where they're kind of I think that's the coach plan. And what's great about that is you just kind of tell the student, hey, Johnny, I need to scan your badge. Everyone else in the room kind of assumes they're getting a point for something, because that's kind of how you can give points to students. So again, you lose that stigmatism of, oh, they're going up because they have something special. I'm scanning their badge, and then they can say how they did with them and move them back to their seat. And no one's the wiser in the room in terms of what just happened. So that's kind of a great option for the teacher. Here's that teacher check-in. So they would come here and hit SECO teacher. They can hit that little button to the right with a circle. Right there, they hit that button, and then they can scan the student's badge, and that brings up the student's SECO plan to the right, where they say, yeah, you did great on being on time. You've done great on having all your materials. And they can submit that or write a comment, again, right from the app. So just a lot of flexibility there and the ability to give them that.
I just love that. Basically what Andy showed you, except kind of the setting up in the settings. And someone did ask, where do I add new coach? You do that in the settings from an admin account that has those admin permissions. But other than that, everything else, starting a new plan as a coach, checking in and checking out as a coach, doing the ratings as a teacher daily, all those things can be done both from the web portal for the staff as well as from the app while you're on the go. So it really makes all this digital checking very easy. And every time you're using the system, you're also collecting data. So there are some reports that you can look at that shows you as far as, what you've been using this in the system with Check and Check Out, how it's kind of been working, what's really been seeming to really make a difference for students. So you also can click on reports from the web portal for staff and see data, see reports regarding the Check and Check Out system. I just love the flexibility of it, and no more forms flying out the bus window, or as another person said in the chat, a student getting upset and ripping up all that data. So with that being said, we said like before, you can do it on the app, you can do it on the web portal. And I want you to remember, so does Andy, don't forget that show me how. Anything that we've taught you how to do today, you can click on the show me how button to show you how to do it step by step. Or if you're like me and you're in a panic and you don't have time for step by step, click on that help button. You can get a chat started. You can see our phone number if you click on contact us in the upper right. And you can also look at those videos and articles that Andy was talking about, all that right there for you to use. And we also want to give you a personal invitation to our Facebook user group. All right. So we're going to go ahead and put that in the chat for you, just where that is. So just know that this has been a great place for people to get together, share ideas, talk to one another. Andy's in there all the time helping out. It's not really a place for those support questions. That's where you go to the support page for. But if you are looking for a way to just connect with other people, please just, answer 3 simple questions to join. And you can scan it with that QR code there. We did put in the chat a direct link for you to be a part of our Facebook user group. It's a lot of fun. It's been growing. It's been growing. Now, we also are going to put in the chat right now our resource page. Is going to give you all different resources for the different trainings that we do. And don't worry about if you don't, you're like, oh, I didn't get to click on the link. No worries. We're going to send you all of these links in the follow-up email as well, if you were able to register for today's training. But this truly is the kit and caboodle. It's all of our resources. It's everything that you need, all right, to be able to share this with anybody at your school, look at it again. So we'll put it in the chat, but we're also, like we said, going to send this to you. All right, give me a moment there. Here's those resources. We'll send that to you, but you can also scan the QR code if that's easier for you with the device that you're using. And so Andy and I really just want to thank you for being a part of today's training. If you have any other questions or you want to see something besides check in, check out in the system, feel free to stay on after today's training, okay? But if not, thank you for your time. Please feel free to fill out this survey for us, okay? You can scan the QR code to be able to get access to that survey to let us know what we could do better or what you really enjoyed. If not, we'll also put that direct link in the follow-up email, okay, that we're going to send you, and you'll be able to do that survey as well to let us know how we can serve you better. Thank you for your time. Like we said, feel free to stay on if you'd like to see anything else in the system or if you have any other questions, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Andy, anything else before we wrap it up?
It's been great. Thank you for letting me join in and have fun training the team, man. I love coming and doing stuff with you, India, and meeting our people out in the field doing the work. It's great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care and have a wonderful day.